Hi, everyone. So I wanted to talk about Module 5. Again, great discussion. I'm really appreciating all the thought that's being put into the charts that you're posting and the comments that you're posting for each other. I just want to talk about a couple of things for question one with the charts that you've made. So one thing that came up was just the specific idea of a word wall. And I think it was Laura's post, the post about the word wall, and then I think it might have been Amanda that commented on it, saying that it's a great uh, kind of K to 6 strategy, and that she hadn't thought about implementing it at intermediate, but it sounds like it would be great. And a word wall is something that I've been using for the last few years with my grade 10 students and my grade 12 students. And they really appreciate it because now we know as educators that there's a huge cognitive load that we take up in trying to get students to recall some things that haven't moved to their automatic recall yet. So I want to free up that cognitive load so that they can do some more serious mathematical thinking. So I want to take things like the terminology and I want to put it up on the wall so they can just look up and select. Um, Another idea that's come out of the word wall is some teachers are using strategy banks. So when students think of new strategies that they can use to solve problems, they'll put that up on kind of a strategy bank or a strategy wall, and then students have that to draw on. And there's also a lot of debate about what a level 4 is, because a level 4, technically, a student should somehow be able to extend the ideas that you're talking about for a level 3 to get a level 4, but it should still be within the curriculum. So I've done a lot of work with teachers talking about what does it mean for students to extend. Um, and so what we've done is we've worked with students to talk about extending strategies, and we've put that up on the wall so that even on an assessment, like when there is an assignment happening in class, students know that to get a level 4, I have to use one of these extending strategies or I have to come up with my own. So extending strategies are something like I can create an alternate problem that uses a similar solution. I can show my thinking in a variety of ways. I can extend the problem to answer a further question that I might have created, things like that. So word walls and word banks are really a helpful tool even at secondary and intermediate. The other thing that came up was Remija's question about how do we improve student reflecting, because she thought the students might have trouble with this, and this is true. And students have trouble with mathematical processes in general because it's not something that's focused on. So when we do get them in our classroom, and I mean, you folks are just coming out of teachers college, so you're going to be fresh into classrooms, and it's kind of a big burden to bear. But you're the agents of change because you have the new knowledge, right? Whereas you might be working with other staff that has knowledge that might be outdated, things like that. So you will be ones championing things like talking to students about the mathematical processes, and hopefully you've got feeder schools that feed into that same kind of mindset. But if students do come and have trouble, I think somebody brought up the idea of talking about uh, using the consolidation phase to improve these things. And that's a great idea. And I just want to point out that there's a good resource that I think I've already talked about. It's Peggy Smith's 5 Practices for Orchestrating Mathematical Discussions. And it's a great book. It's a great resource that basically it has 5 practices that a teacher should go through. But the two main ones, well, not the two main ones, but the two that I appreciate the most are selecting and sequencing. So for example, if you have 30 samples of student work for a question, you don't want to take up 30 things, right, to show everybody's different thinking. But as a teacher, it's our responsibility to walk around and to be able to select the ones that we want to talk about to maximize the potential of that consolidation period in the class. So that means that as a teacher, I'm constantly walking around while students are working on problems, and I'm selecting which work I want to show, and I'm also sequencing as to which order I want to show the work in to my students in the consolidation phase. So selecting and sequencing are two things from the orchestrating good discussion. And this is what that resource looks like. It's really a worthwhile read, and it really did transform some of my practice. The last thing I want to talk about is the criteria for thinking. It's so much good discussion there. And I want to say thank you so much for digging into that work, because I'll say, as an instructional coach, I work with teachers for days, like practicing teachers for days on constructing what we think success criteria for thinking might look like. There's a lot of good discussion about group versus individual. And it's great that came up, and I think that both need to be valued. Like we do need to have some sort of individual accountability, but students do really need to learn how to work collaboratively. I think that we're moving into a world where it's kind of going to be hard to find a job where you're working on your own. So that collaboration and teamwork really needs to be there. Quite a few of you in your success criteria had the criteria that said, I asked questions, blah, 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 about the problem or something. But the I asked question part, I think, is fantastic. I think it's a great idea to have that as an explicit success criteria for thinking. I want to share with you one other resource. It's this book here, Making Thinking Visible. A lot of strategies. It comes with a DVD that shows clips from classrooms. It's, again, a great resource. And the thing that came to mind when I saw your success criteria, I want to share with you a set of questions from my website again. It's called Would You Rather Math. And so if you go to engagethinking.wordpress.com, which is my blog /resources, and you click on Would You Rather Math, you'll come to a whole set of questions that's like this, and really they can be used K to 12. So this is one example. Would you rather wait in line A or line B to fill your vehicle with gas? So line A has all these cars with their capacities listed, and line B has all these cars with their capacities listed, right? So a lot of you in your thinking criteria, you had your students justify, you had students explain, you had students defend their reasoning, sequence their thinking in logical order. All of these things can it's very difficult to do them in a textbook questions. But when we turn to questions like this that are a little bit more open, a little bit more deep, we can really look for all of those processes. So here, students would have to decide, how long does it take somebody to go in and pay? How long does it take somebody to fill a 30-liter truck? How long is it going to take this guy to pay for this guy to move in? How long is it going to take him to pay for this guy to move in? And there's 2 bays. So how does that come into play? When this guy's done, can this guy go around? So we really have to justify and reason everything that we're thinking. Okay, so feel free to use that resource. And thank you very much. And we'll talk again at the next module. I'm also going to post an announcement either tonight or tomorrow, just summarizing my thinking around the feedback that you gave me and some changes that I'll make for the following week. Okay? All right. Thank you.